No, this was quite brief with respect to this entire topic on research.
Yeah. I
So,
think I'll stop
we can take
sharing.
questions. Yeah. We can take up questions. Anyone
Good
have
afternoon, doctor.
questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very informative session, doctor, and I'm currently pursuing periodontology in my final year. So I had a
Okay.
few doubts in my mind.
Okay.
Firstly, what was like the hackathon experience? Like you had to prepare a pitch for the hackathon, or how was it?
So in the hackathon, we had to submit a broad proposal. So we had it was in the Word format, and we didn't have PPT, pitch deck, and all that. We just had to write what was our idea. It's basically writing a concept note, brief background about it. Since I was working on a prototype kind of work, so I put it across telling that what my concept is. I showed some pictures how it's going to work, and then what they mostly look into the outcome and deliverables, like how my prototype is going to help different kinds of people, and yeah, about that, like the objectives and methodology, how I'm going to do it, all in brief. It was very briefly written, and but it was like, I had a proper way of writing it. That again, like after probably getting rejected probably like some 7 to 8 times, that's when MSME, I mean, that's when you get a proper outline of your proposal. So probably I am here to help not do those mistakes which I have already done. I know what mistakes I've done, probably writing up objectives or aim, or even, as small as a project summary. It's so important because that's the first thing they look at. Like if they don't like it, that's it. Like, they won't even go ahead in reading the project. So I had a chance of, being with the judge who was a reviewer for one BIRAC proposals. So when she was reviewing, I understood like how she thinks and what are they looking for. And that's when I realized few of my mistakes and everything. And probably finally after that, after, reshaping my proposal, that's how I got MSME hackathon.
Okay. Also, I had this doubt when it comes to remunerations for like PhD. So, like in India, what are the approximate fees and what is the stipend that we get?
Okay, so the thing is, it depends on universities to universities. Okay,
Yes.
in like different universities have their own fees. I think it starts up to like 1 lakh, probably goes up to like 10 lakhs. All that is there. But that being said, there are you don't really get stipend for PhD work.
Okay.
Okay, if you join as, I don't know, like it
Fellowship.
depends again, different universities to university. Yes, you get fellowships. So whenever you join a PhD, keep that in mind that I am, no matter what, going to get a research grant and start working on it and get a fellowship. That has to be the idea.
Yes.
Because when I joined PhD, that was probably I had a faculty who supported me and who told me, like, all when I joined PhD, all my friends were working, earning, and being a faculty member, and I was the only one who was I had joined as a research fellow, so my this thing was 18,000, my salary was. Same way, when I looked at my friends, they were getting much more, like as a faculty and
Yes.
consultants and everything. So you somewhere feel, oh my god, have I taken the right path by being a PhD? But now sitting at this position, I'm so glad that I'm already here, like towards finishing my PhD. And because of the reason being that they're still there, they're still consultants, they're still faculty, like teaching students. Nothing has grown. But for me, from the past 4 years, the experience which I've got in research and PhD has, like, boosted my level. And that's why I feel when you enter PhD, don't go with the mind that I'm going to earn a stipend of so much, so much, so much. No, you need to figure out through fellowships, through your research, how you're going to get the money in your hand. and how you're going to keep that monthly income coming. That has to be in your mind, that no matter what, I'll figure out to, find a way to get the funding. Fellowships is the best way to get PhD stipends.
Okay. Because in abroad, they have this TA position or RA position, like teaching assistants and other positions which they.
Actually, you are eligible for that as well. Like,
Okay.
if you want to go as a research assistant, where anytime when you are a research assistant, you also have the option to do PhD as well. And if you get in abroad, no, there are a lot of chances where they already start paying you. Like, that is definitely up to like 70K above kind of research assistant salaries. But the only problem is your CV has to be really strong. So in
Oh,
our society, what happens is, like, our BDS and MDS level, we stick to BDS and MDS just for the finishing MDS, finishing BDS purposes. We don't think anything beyond that. So we don't even worry about making our CV strong in the research area. So in BDS and MDS itself, if we make our research area a little bit stronger, you have more chances of getting more opportunities abroad, where they want research assistant who has an experience in this so and so research area, who is already an MDS graduate. And the salary is, like, really big. Example, in Saudi, okay, there's something called as cost, that is King Saud Science and Technology College. They have a student visiting a scholar program, where they provide you up to I think 1 lakh per month, and they have a topic already. They are like, we want research assistants who will work for, like, 3-4 months, or 4-6 months, 4 to 6 months, depending on how many months you can work there. They pay for your salary, stay, everything.
okay.
So this option is like, nobody knows about it until you, like, dig deeper into it. So that's what I'm telling. Like, once you get into it and you know what your topic is on, each topic will have their own kind of area and own kind of funding, own kind of abroad opportunities.
Okay. So building CV is probably
Yeah,
the.
I think at BDS level itself, even if your research work, as Hari asked me, like, previously, Harita, which year should I start? I would suggest as soon as you enter BDS, like, start researching, start, because it's not only about building your
Yes.
CV. It's
Yes.
about, you will know why you're becoming a doctor, why you're, all that subjects become so stronger. Like, instead of just mugging up the basic subjects, you will know, you will dig deeper, and the understanding level becomes a much different level from where you are. So I feel BDS first year itself is a good option to start research.
Okay. Thank you.
And don't stick to one kind of research. Work on multiple research works. See where you can, put your head in, like, figure out more things, all that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tulsi.
Ma'am, we have a couple of questions in the chat. Should we
Okay.
get to that now?
Yeah. How do I pick that I can complete in 1 year? Uh, so don't over deliver things in your proposal. Like, whenever you write a research proposal, stick to very minimal things as much as possible. Even as you're doing your PhD, if you're planning your PhD as well, keep your objectives and topic as simple as possible in the beginning. Okay. The reason being that if you're not able to do it within the stipulated time, then you're in big trouble. So rather, stick to small topic and small things, and then probably add in more objectives if you're able to do it. Like, example, I'll go back to my oral cancer radiation shielding itself. I was very happy, and this thing was, first I'll do in vitro studies, and then I'll do animals. Basically, I started with my 3 objectives as objective 1, in vitro studies; objective 2, I'll do testing in animals; objective 3, I'll do testing in humans. So these were my objectives in the initial phase. But it's practically not possible, and that you get to know only after you enter your research work. So from my experience, what I would suggest is keep as simple things as possible, like cut down as much as possible, keep it very short, like very, if you're doing it in 1 year, see that it is achievable in 1 year. Don't overgive that you can do it. If you can do it within 1 year, and if you can do more things, you can always add in more objectives as such. But as far as possible, keep it as small. Whatever you can do can be an additional thing to your suggest. So that I feel like, if you that you will have to figure out, like if you have choosing a topic or something, if you can do it in 1 year or no, that you will have to figure out with your objective wise. That's exactly why they give you the timeline and evaluation plan, Gantt chart. So when you split your objectives into different methodology, you will know like whether you can complete it in 1 year or no. Can someone who is a clinician and not part of the educational institution anymore also get into research? Now, this is a question which can be answered in different way. Like you can club with a startup company and get a startup kind of research area which you are. But also being said that you can club with an educational institution person. Like as a clinician, we have the opportunity to give to probably find a mentor who is along with an educational institution. You will not get the research grant directly, because of the reason being that most of the funding agencies know that as a doctor alone, I can't give you money directly, because you don't have any facilities to do it. Even if you're claiming that you have, they don't have the proof that you have the facilities. So any funding agencies or research grants know, they already have a educational university list, and what are the facilities in each universities. Everything is already provided to them. There's something called as DSIR certificate. This is for Indian institutions I'm talking. So Indian institution, there is something called as DSIR certificate, which every institution has to upgrade it regularly. And in that DSIR certificate is basically telling that, yes, this is a scientific research institution where you can do research. So coming back to the question, if you're a clinician and if you want to do a research, you will have to club with somebody who is in the educational institution, because they don't trust you directly. Anybody, then they can start giving money to anybody, right? Like any clinician, like if they have come up with the proposal, okay, let's give. But there's no authenticity to that they'll do any study or no, or they'll do any research work or no. So better to find and club with somebody. You can be a team member for that research project, but you can't directly get the funding from the government for the research. I think that's Dr. Farzana. I hope I've cleared that. As a prosthodontist without a research proposal, can we still apply for a PhD in India? As a prosthodontist, if you have to apply for a PhD, PhD is basically nothing but you need to work on a research project. Basically, PhD is something in prosto. You will have to work on that topic. You can't just it's not a degree like MDS. It's a research work where, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I don't think you can go ahead for PhD without a research proposal. You need a research work in hand, then only you can apply for a PhD. I think that is Mamata, right? As a person joining PhD, what would be the best kind of study to take up? Okay, that depends again on your stress level, how much you can handle. If you can handle really good level of stress, I really feel in vitro studies and human studies are good. But that being said, MDS, when you take up, you have a lot of other work which you have to consider. You have, your patient work, your clinical related work, you have, or in the 3 years, there's literally so much work to do. So you need to know how to balance your research work as well as, your other work. But if you're asking me what is the best kind of, please don't take up questionnaire study for your post-graduation. Most of the people do it, but It doesn't have weightage. Start with the in vitro study. So when you have an in vitro study in post-graduation, I did this mistake, so I'm telling you guys don't do it. Start with an in vitro proper kind of study in post-graduation, which you can continue after your post-graduation as a PhD topic. Probably like, if I'm taking oral cancer patients and they are, I'm checking their cells. So just, or the biomarkers, salivary biomarkers in oral cancer patients, if I'm checking. So check the in vitro part of it in probably in your post-graduation, and then make it a larger animal kind of study, or a, inject your salivary biomarkers and, correlate it with some drug, see if that drug is working against this salivary marker. That level of study you can do it in your next phase, probably PhD. And from there you can, like, if you join as a faculty, you can continue that research project as well. So why I'm telling you to do that is because if you have that continuation of the study, you have a preliminary work base, and your funding opportunity goes up really high if you have a preliminary work. If you don't have a preliminary work and you apply for a research project, they don't trust you that you will do that work, kind of thing. So that's why I'm telling, like, post graduation, stick to a topic where you can continue it later as well if you want to. Yeah, that's what kind of best kind of study would be in vitro studies, I feel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have done in vitro study effect of essential oils prepared as denture cleansers on physical properties of dental materials. So you have that. So I feel this is a very good kind of study which you have done in your MDS. Now, if you are taking a PhD, I feel this is your research proposal. You ask me, like, as a prosthodontist, do I need a research proposal? You already have it in your hand. You just have to figure out more elaborate way of the same topic. So that'll be a PhD. See, exactly how an MDS thesis is, that's exactly how a PhD works. You need a thesis. You need to work on that area, and it's not like MDS. MDS, you can do some golmaal and just try to finish your work. PhD is not like that. You have to, like, work, show data. You have criterias. You need like 2 publications. You need to go to conferences for presentations. All that is a requirement of a PhD. So if you tell me, can I enter PhD without a research proposal? No, you cannot enter PhD without a research proposal. So if you already have done this work, I would suggest you go ahead with PhD with the same topic. Because again, when you apply for this topic under different funding agencies, they know that you have already done your thesis work on that, MDS thesis work, and you have some background data already available, and you're using that data to continue your study. So more chances of publication getting accepted, more chances of funding, all that. Thank you, but I've submitted to university. Can I still use that? That's what I'm telling you. You can't use the same MDS thesis topic. You'll have to, that same topic, correlate it to a little more, make it more elaborate. Like, see, in what you told me was you did in vitro study effect of essential oils prepared as denture cleansers on physical properties of dental materials. Now, probably the same, these effect of essential oils on uh, different tissues of the teeth. Same thing. You have already checked it on dental materials. Now, probably, like, on human cells, how it's going to work. So you'll have to go, you'll have different cell lines available, and you have to see this effect of these essential oils in human cell lines, how it's going to affect that. Cytotoxicity, microleaching assays, all that you need to, like, go in depth from there. Now, again, why I'm telling you this, because if you have done this already, and if you're doing that in PhD, for your fellowships or for your grants and all, they know that you have done some MDS thesis work on it, and you have some data on it, and you're continuing on this. So it becomes easier that way. Have I answered it, Mamata? You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Also, can you suggest, like, in India, how can we apply for a PhD? Like, what are the universities?
Most of the universities have, like, example, I joined as an alumni in Yanapoya University as well. So I think Manipal University has most of the universities definitely have PhDs. They have their own way of conducting their PhD programs. Like example, when I had joined a PhD, I had a pre-PhD exam which I had to clear. It's very basic things they ask. If you clear that, you're eligible for PhD in your college. And once that happens, we have a pre-PhD course. In that, we have like 6 months pre-PhD course where we have particular assignments to be submitted, and some courses online, Swayam courses, Coursera courses has to be completed, basic research, statistics, all that. Like basic research work has to be like properly learnt in that. And once the PhD course is over, then you start your research work. So in your research work, probably that topic you take, and then you start working on that. But everyone gets stuck at that point because they don't know how to get the materials for your project, and that's when you start exploring ways of getting. So what I would suggest everyone, first you get into PhD, first thing is search for fellowships. Once you get that fellowship amount, and which is that monthly recurring amount which is coming, you get more confident to do your research work. So probably that's way. And if you ask me, universities, probably most of the universities are having PhD under them. So you will have to figure out which university you want to, and then apply for it. One more thing, whenever you're applying for PhDs, figure out the guide first. Find out about the guide, who is good in what research area, and go behind that guide. And then select the universities. First, always select the guide and then go to the university.
Do you enjoy learning without distractions? Download our app now.
I think that's about it.
I had one last question.
Yeah.
So I had come across this membrane which was being fabricated in IIT Bombay, and
Okay.
it was like a combination of PCL and PGC, which they had done animal studies on.
Okay.
And we were trying to extrapolate it to human studies. And my ethical committee had asked to check for all the clearances for which they
Okay.
had done all the ISO testing. And those
Okay.
reports were there. But then still, like, there was some resistance from my university or my college to give the ethical clearance for the same. Like, actually, they were not knowing definitively what was required. So I think, and the people who have done the in-vitro studies were also not understanding what is required from the our end, because other membranes they had done in
So I'll tell you
hospital
what.
studies.
See,
Yeah.
especially okay. So mine is a hydrogel scaffold where I'm putting the stem cells on that hydrogel scaffold and using it for regeneration. So I had directly, it's a very easy study kind of thing. I went in and did. So then they were like, no. Even when you do in vitro studies, what happens is they are worried about the side effects. Okay, any foreign body, when you're testing it into humans, they're like side effects, like how is it going to affect the local region, or how is it going to affect the systemically. And if has usually these studies are not accepted from a young researcher point of view. These studies will be accepted for a researcher who has done multiple animal studies on the same membranes and this thing. Like they have done all kinds of studies, probably cytotoxicity and microleaching assays, and then all what are the side effects in at 3 months, what are the side effects at 6 months, what are the side effects at 9 months, after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, probably 5 year survival, all that they check, and then they go into human trials. See, it's not like a drug. For a drug, it's much more easier actually. When a drug is there, they have a cohort like of a different. First, they start with 50 people, and then they start with 100 people. And there are like people who come up with it, telling that okay, I'm ready to try this drug and all that. With our specialty, that's not like that. We need a case specific this thing for it. Like you're telling membrane, right? So we need periodontitis related patient. There are no more volunteers who are like readily coming that I want to get into this research kind of thing. So that's where ethical clearance like really incidences which has happened where they have done this, and people have sued as well. Like because of the small one, probably they got a fever the next day after applying. And then they're like, because of this research girl who is doing this research, that's how I got fever. You can't justify it. Probably he didn't even get fever because of that. He got it something else. But the institution ethics committee gave approval for that study, and that girl has done the research, and that's how I got fever. That is how it's going to come out in the court tomorrow. And that's why ethics committee is like big no. Like until you have solid results and probably years and years of data of this thing, then only it goes for a human trial. Otherwise, it's a very big, difficult thing for ethics committee to give clearance to it. Especially if it's something new kind of membrane
Yes.
and all. People still do it. In clinics and all, they don't even bother about this.
Yes.
They just apply and see, okay, let's see if it works or no kind of thing. But they can't put it on paper anywhere.
Okay.
Probably they can publish it as a case report or something. But it's not standardized. That case report can't be used as a citation for, big studies.
Yes.
So that's what, until
So
you probably after 20 years of your research work in the same field, then probably you can try it on humans.
Okay, so like it needs to be tested in a periodontitis animal model only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both. That's what. It's not only that. Now periodontitis model you have tested. Tomorrow that same has to be tested. Periodontitis with diabetes, periodontitis with oral cancer, periodontitis with something. Because the reactions will be different for different diseases and periodontitis. That's what I'm telling. Like when you're trying in a human, especially these kind of membranes and all, you need have so much of research data for it before getting into humans. But all that being said, people still do it, but they don't get authenticity for it. That's why an ethical clearance for a human trial is so difficult.
All right. Also, what were the skills that were required for you to develop in PhD? Like, we are not well equipped with the lab knowledge per se.
I took 1 year of, so basically my problem was, I wanted to do the periodontal stem cell regeneration therapy. So what I did is I took the granulation tissue, and they used to give me a small transport media, and I was supposed to give it to the laboratory, and they were supposed to process the cell. Now, this became very difficult as a PhD student, because when you give your work to somebody else, it doesn't happen in your time. It happens on their time. So what happened is I was supposed to get into the cell culture lab, and I had to learn the techniques. I sat with MSc students, did my entire 1 year training in stem cell lab. Now, if you ask me, you give me a tissue, I know how to extract cells from it. It's like that. So basically, it's not like I already had a skill. I had to develop the skill.
Yes.
I took 1 year training for it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
It's time to wrap up now. It was a really insightful session. It was an absolute delight to watch you talk about research so passionately. And thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking the time.
I really feel bad that we are not oriented to it in the initial years itself.
Yeah.
But we understand it very late in our career, where we missed so many years of experience in research. So yeah, I would always, whoever is getting into research, I would tell them, like, as early as possible.
Yeah. I think you've changed a few minds today. And
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the master class as well, where we get
Yeah,
more
definitely.
information. Yeah. All right, Dr. Faiza, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Wait, there's more. But before we go further down the rabbit hole, subscribe to our channel.